the history of the A&P really started many years ago with Sandy Cohen. For me, this is my history with the A&P. Sandy Cohen, I got a phone call from Sandy several years ago. Sandy, I'm not good with dates. I think it was like 2004. 2003? So relative to that, I get a phone call from Sandy. He said there's an organization that's going to be starting talking about, we don't know what the name of it's going to be yet, but we're thinking about the Distributor Rights Association or something along that line. And I'd like you to come. So when she called me up and she says, you really should get there. I said, Sandy, you know how busy I am. I know how busy you are. If it's important to you, I'm going to show up. But tell me about the event. So I said yes first, without anything else. Tell me about the event. Well, there's going to be a gentleman. His name is Rod Cook. And there's going to be Cheryl Gonzalez. And I said, well, I know Rod. I know a little bit about Cheryl. But Rod Cook is the MLM watchdog. Now, way back when, Rod was a lot more aggressive than he is now. And I remember that there were crosshairs. Like if Rod had his crosshairs on you, you were in trouble. And you were dead. Yeah. And I said, you know, I see the guy on his website with this little helicopter spinning around. He's crazy. But I didn't know the man, and I figured what I should probably do is get there anyway, so I should know the man because I'm running a company on my own, and the worst thing in the world that you'd ever want is be in his crosshairs. So I said, well, let me go there anyway to kind of get a feeling for this group. And it was about distributor rights. And I had been working with some customers that had been terminated from their previous company. And I don't know if any of the people in the room have ever been terminated. And if you're comfortable enough in this room, you can do a lot of stuff that's relatively safe. But if you're in this room and you've ever been terminated before by a company, can you raise your hand? So we have some people here. Now, my hand is raised because I was terminated by a network marketing company. And me and Troy, you'll hear the story maybe, we're on opposite sides of the fence. But if you know anybody that's ever been terminated, can it be pretty devastating for themselves and a lot of other people? The answer is yes. And I saw that happening unjustly in too many situations. So I said, I want to know about a little bit of this because I've always been kind of like the underdog. And I'm not anti-company. But when a company has a bigger club and the distributor doesn't have a chance to really fight back and things are done unjustly, there's usually 2 or 3 different reasons why those things might have happened. And unfortunately, some people's lives were changed and devastated and maybe even worse. So I said, that's why I wanted to come. And when I came over here, I kind of became very passionate. So this was I use the example, the sperm and the egg for me. About 2003 when I came here, I got really passionate about the concept of what was happening with these great people. So for many of you, it's your first event. Raise your hand if it's your first event here. Okay, good. So we have a whole bunch of new people. That's great. It was my first exposure to this. And then what happened was people asked for members of the board. And I raised my hand and I was elected executive director of education, I think we called them. We did a whole bunch of conference calls, and those conference calls are still recorded on the website. And through a series of events, Rod and Cheryl, and I have to give recognition to Cheryl Kissel, so it's Cheryl Kissel now. She put in thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into this organization, and Rod Cook. So I want to give them a round of applause if you don't mind. Tons of effort, tirelessly, thankless job into helping people on terminations and everything else. We're going to get started, but I want to do a few things first. I'm going to try to make a sale first. And the sale that I want to make first is the importance of the A&P. So the A&P to me is a wonderful organization. In this industry, there's a couple of different ones, and I promise you there's a lot more people better at explaining this than I am. But you have the DSA, as far as an organization. They deal mostly with companies. Direct Selling Association stands for Direct Selling Association. This is more or less for the newer people in the room. So there's an organization that stands for companies, and they stand for companies. Do companies have rights? Yeah, I hope so, right? Some of you are corporate members in this room. Companies, of course, need rights. Then there's the MLMIA, the Multi-Level Marketing International Association. That's been around for a long time, and we've had Doris Woods before in this organization, you know, in the room last year, as a matter of fact. So she was invited, and she's a great gal, and they run a great organization. There's my friend Nikki Keohoho, who runs the DSWA, which is the Direct Selling Women's Alliance. And then there's some other organizations that come and go, and you'll see those as we go along. Did I miss any of the bigger ones? I don't think so. And then there's us, which is the A&P. And we're still relatively small in this number. We're a nonprofit organization. Marcy did a fantastic job in getting us nonprofit and stays that way. And we're a group of volunteers. So we do what we can when we can. In 2008 and 2009 and whatever was happening with the recession and things like that, was a challenging time for some people in the room, challenging time for some people in the industry, but I think based on some of the companies that we're working with and representing and things along that line, the whole home-based business is starting to really boom. So there's a whole bunch of things to be reckoned with, but unfortunately that's either a good or a bad thing for some people in the room because they don't know the rules. And there's going to be a lot of transitions as we go along. People need to know what they can and can't do as distributors. Sometimes there's a challenge with people being an independent contractor. They think that means I'm free to do whatever I want. And I'll promise you, you'll be hearing the legal panel. You'll hear legal panel, business panel, ethic panel, and it's going to get exciting, and it's going to get hot, and it's going to get heated. And you're going to have a lot of fun. And I promise you, when you leave this room, if we could take a picture before and after, you're going to be a different person.